But gang hang. We were just body shaming Cyclops a minute ago. It was a good time, you know, like, specifically Ryan Stegman's Cyclops. My name is Matt Baum. Joe Patrick, say hi to the kids.
I'm the internet's Joe Patrick.
And
hi, kids.
We're the Two-Headed Nerd. It's our gang hang. Saturday mornings, we hang with the gang on our Discord, and we talk about all kinds of stuff. There's all kinds of stuff to talk about. We were just having a little X discussion. JD's catching up. He lives in the lake house, so he gets his stuff digitally. And he was talking about the X-Men Infinity comics and the benefits of them not being drawn by Stegman. I countered with, don't worry, he hasn't drawn that much of the X book either. So
yeah, what are they on? Like six or seven of that book? I think maybe he's only drawn 4 of them.
I think he's drawn 3 or 4 issues.
So maybe half.
And I've only gotten 3 at the lake house. So there's only been 3 on Unlimited.
Well, and he certainly drew the first 3 in a row. I don't think they put a fill-in on him.
No, he drew the first
early,
3. He drew the first 3, but issue 4 was 4 and 5 are both fill-ins, I think.
Yeah,
I know one of the gang hangs that I missed. Matt, you had posted that you wanted to talk about the From the Ashes there, and I don't know if you got a chance to do that with people.
Oh, I got over it. Don't worry. Honestly, things have cooled so much with this X relaunch. Like I still really like the Gail Simone book. I think it's easily the best one on the stands, and I think she's doing the best job of writing the X-Men as I recognize them. Like, yeah, I believe Wolverine acts like that. Yeah, that sounds like Rogue. Like, yeah, that's definitely dumb old Gambit. You know, stuff like that.
And I like the new characters too, the kids.
That team to me feels that book feels to me very much like the Australia, like the Outback era.
Yes, 100%.
Fall of the Mutants. That 100%. Feels very, very much like that. But I think personally, for me, the one that feels the most like the X-Men in context of being post Krakoa is Exceptional X-Men.
I like that book too.
It's grown on me a little more than I thought it would. I didn't care for the first issue, but a couple issues in, and now I'm like, all right, at least we're building a team, and there's some teaching aspect going on or something like that, you know.
But at the same time, it's like, you know, I truly believe that that's how Kitty would act after everything that happened. She's just like, fuck it, I'm out. I don't want this. I don't want to deal with this.
I mean, I guess I don't know. Yeah. I guess I don't.
She's going to get drugged back in. You know she is.
Right.
And so it's not so much a matter of if, it's how.
I don't know how else she could react unless they were going to be like, oh, nope, she's just a full-on murder machine going forward now. That's
never going to work.
I mean, I liked that she was reluctant because Krakoa broke her, and she was like, I'm not coming back. And then Emma was like, look, these children need you, you know? I think it's hilarious. I think it's hilarious how at the beginning they kept saying there's 3 flagship X-Men books, Exceptional X-Men's in the mix. And then they announced the first crossover, and it's just the 2.
Yeah.
Assault on Graymalkin is just Uncanny and X-Men. And poor Exceptional X-Men has nothing to do with it.
But I think it's one of the strengths of the run, though, is the fact that you can just pick one of these books and read it.
That's what they're going for.
I mean, at least
with all of these
the crossover, you know, and I'm sorry, NYX is good.
NYX is good. I hate the art, but I do think the story is very good.
Yeah, the art's a little.
The fact that they're making a community center, the whole community center thing, and the whole idea of just people having to. That's the thing I love the best about this whole era and what they're doing. The cohesiveness of it is the fact that they're dealing with a traumatic event that affected a huge group of people. Yeah. In fact, I'm working on a piece that I don't know if I'll write it for the Lake House or I might just post it on my own, but I'm also writing about, you know, the allegory I'm finding personally of, you know, watching a group of people that thought they were safe and thought, you know, here's the next coming of something, and being super disappointed by the other side winning.
Sure. Yeah.
I think it's also interesting how so many of the other new X-Men books are, well, not so many, but Uncanny, Exceptional X-Men and NYX are all about building growing community, or at least like embracing the tenets of the X-Men in various ways. And then once again, the Cyclops book shows Cyclops unable to process his feelings, like always.
Yeah.
And running a paramilitary outfit in the middle of nowhere. And it's like, this is just the Bendis Uncanny X-Men without the light terrorism.
So far.
So far,
so
right?
far.
Yeah, so far.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, and that is not to say, like, look, I think the story in X-Men is fine. It's fine. It's not my favorite of of all the books, but now JD can get pumped for something else that's coming in the future.
X-Man Hunt,
because it's not here yet. X-Man Manhunt. It's just X-Man Hunt. It's just X-Man Hunt, but we had some fun with the title. So they announced the first full line-wide crossover, which will be like an Executioner's style, like
that's how we'll get your exceptional X-Men
to
in there,
that
JD.
book to that book, right? And it's called X-Manhunt. And it's about Charles Xavier busting out of Greymalkin prison for reasons that we yet do not know. And then, like, he's Earth's most wanted mutant fugitive. And so the X teams have to be like, oh, shit, now we got to deal with his dumbass.
Right. I think as far as Cyclops is concerned, just to touch back on Cyclops and, like, being him going back to the paramilitary thing, talking about just dealing with trauma and everything else as far as how that works, I think it's 100% believable to me that he would absolutely revert back to that.
Sure.
That's what Cyclops
I agree.
does.
That's like
Cyclops is the type of person that
the inability to process through their own trauma is a hallmark of the entire Summers family.
Yeah. I mean, this is why Cyclops that's why he's ruined.
It's so weird and fractured because the other members the other stalwarts, the other like hallmark X-Men that would normally be on a team led by Cyclops are like, Psych, that doesn't work anymore. We don't want to do that anymore. So that's when he's got Magic and Quentin Quire and Psylocke and Beast, just because Beast is like time displaced weirdo.
He needs somewhere to be.
Well, but also keep in mind, he used Beast back when he was going super evil, and he was like had full knowledge of X-Force and what Beast was doing and everything. Mm-hmm. So maybe in his mind,
up to a point.
Yeah,
up to a point.
Well, yeah, he was like, "Don't tell me," but he knew what was going on.
But no, I mean, by the time
plausible
Beast was
deniability,
actually a villain, he Cyclops didn't know that stuff.
No, he didn't know that, but like he was letting him do all
he knew stuff. He knew about X-Force, of course.
Yeah,
but so there was this bit of we had a bit of fun with the X-Manhunt crossover because AIPT Adventures in Poor Taste, when they reported on the crossover, the headline capitalized the letters in X-Manhunt so that it read X-Man Hunt. And that's a different thing.
Yeah.
than X-Manhunt.
It's something.
And at the very least, Brian and I were very disappointed that X-Man seems to have nothing to do with it.
No, I don't think you have to worry about X-Man anytime soon.
You would think he would.
I think they're trying to put that behind them. I don't know. I think they just want to focus on the cable that they have, not the cable that we wish we had. You know, what can you do?
That new cable book's coming out pretty soon, too.
And it looks like it's going to be fun, actually.
It does look like it's going to be fun. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I'm excited about it.
I'm excited for it. Man, I wish X-Force was more fun. That book sucks. It sucks.
But I tell you, just another note real quick about the X-Men, the adjectiveless X-Men book. It says a lot about the group you've assembled when the most well-adjusted person on the team is the Juggernaut.
Yeah.
By default of being like the only one that doesn't have like some sort of deep damage, or like Beast is basically like, I just came out of a test tube and I don't have any knowledge of the last 30 years of my life. Walk.
Yeah.
And
that's the craziest thing.
Continuity. The really cool From the Ashes story that they did with him was they in the Infinity Comics was they found another mutant that goes by the name Blank Slate, or was given the name Blank Slate. He's a metamorph that has mirror neurons. So he doesn't just take on the appearance and powers of the person he's near, but their full personality and memories.
Oh, cool.
And he's like, but because of his powers, he has like no, like he's in existential crisis. So he's kind of a mess, and he's kind of a menace. But he latches onto Beast, and he really likes being Beast. And because Beast was afraid of becoming a mad scientist again, he had made this device that he could inject himself, and he would revert him back to that personality. So
nothing says I hope I don't become a mad scientist again, like committing mad science.
Sure. Or drug addiction.
And then Blank Slate, and I'm going to spoil this because I know none of you will read the scrolling comics.
Don't worry about it.
Blank Slate injects himself with the serum in order to, because his form shifts to whoever he's closest to in proximity. And because of that instability, it's kind of driving him mad. So he injects himself with the serum to stay Beast. He's like, I like being you. I like that. And then, so it's kind of Beast having to deal with like seeing how someone else deals with being him.
Yeah.
And it goes badly. I mean, he goes full Dark Beast. Like he even starts to turn gray. And he starts like,
I mean, that's kind of fun.
What was the roommate movie where Jennifer Jason Leigh fell in love with her roommate and wanted to be her? What was that?
Single white female.
Single white female. Yeah. Totally.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's very much a single white female.
That's exactly what it is.
Single gray beast.
Yeah. Single gray beast, baby.
Single gray football.
Yeah.
But it was really cool. It was an interesting character piece because it really did a lot to like really get at the core of Hank's current existential crisis of like, he says at one point, he says, time plus Hank McCoy equals evil.
I mean,
sure,
it did, I guess, but I think it's cool that they wiped 30 years of his life, because what else do you do to the character? Other than I hit my head so hard, I can't remember nothing.
I agree with that. Like, I think it was not only one of the only ways we were gonna be able to get the Beast back. I think it's a very interesting plot development because now this guy's got to deal with people judging him for what his doppelganger did.
Yeah,
and then also not like, oh, Jubilee, I'm supposed to know you, but I don't. Right? And I think that's fun.
Brian, you were going to say something?
That was the core of the Beak story too. Is Beak and his family fly up to Alaska for Thanksgiving, and Beak's like making, we're just going to go visit and everything. But the truth is that Hank had promised to cure his daughter of cancer.
Oh,
but it was
he was evil Hank.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Well,
that's
a sticky wicket.
That's a pretty clever.
Yeah,
story.
I like that. I like that.
I think that's fun. You know what? I will say, JD, I read the first issue of the Astonishing X-Men Infinity comic. And again, the format is the format, and we've talked about that. But I really liked the story. It's about Banshee, and he's searching for his daughter. Because he doesn't know that his daughter has been brainwashed by the Grey Malkin prison.
Siren has?
Yeah, Siren and the Blob are like...
Yeah, that's right.
Under mind control at presumably mind control at Grey Malkin prison, and they're being used as thugs, Toad, Blob, and Siren. And so this Astonishing X-Men Infinity comic is about him searching for Siren. And it was pretty good, the first chapter. I liked it.
All right, this is good. We did a bunch of X talk. Let's get into the Superman trailer. Superman dropped this week.
Last thought. I read Psylocke #2 this week. That book is still fucking great.
That book is good. Psylocke is good.
Psylocke is good.
Psylocke
you guys.
is strangely
and this is not something
good.
that Matt or I would ever normally say.
Yeah, it's strangely good. Final thought. Juggernaut shouldn't be an X-Man, not a mutant. And I'm super racist about my X-people. They should all be mutants. Sorry.
The very first new recruit of the original X-Men was a non-mutant.
Don't care. That's not how we do it anymore. So
Mimic.
Oh, Mimic's not a mutant?
Mimic later he later became a mutant. They made him a mutant later.
Scientifically made whatever.
Yeah.
I think maybe they retroactively decided to justify his presence.
They made him a mutant.
Originally speaking, Mimic was not a mutant. He was a science experiment, like lab accident nonsense.
Yeah.
Mad scientist dad, the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't count. Those comics do. They were still figuring stuff out, Come on.
Okay. Sure.
I think the X-Men were also still like a product of like atomic testing back then.
Totally. So. Yeah. The atomic age has created the X-Men. They're like, what's that mean? We'll let you know when we figure it out. All right. Superman. The Superman trailer from James Gunn dropped this week. Nobody got real excited about it. It was kind of a big letdown, honestly. I mean, there really wasn't much in there to talk about. Just like another dour, mean Superman looking scary, breaking necks and shit, So they're really going for the cash grab, I think, here.
I am uncharacteristically excited for this movie, but if anything happens to that dog, I'm killing James Gunn.
That's
Todd in the chat.
Many threats against James Gunn.
Todd in the chat says they're going to get us to fall in love with Crypto just so that when they fill him with arrows in the Supergirl movie, we're all going to be so pissed. Because it's based on the Tom King Supergirl comic where Crypto gets hurt pretty bad.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember. But did you know that Crypto, apparently is James, well, I don't know if he's exactly James Gunn's dog, but he looks exactly like James Gunn's dog.
Yeah.
Crypto is James Gunn based this version of Crypto off of his own rescue dog.
Yeah.
Which I think is so sweet and adorable and only makes me love him more.
I love the way
that's going to happen.
Yeah. I don't think we're going to get the Crypto full of arrows scene in the Supergirl movie.
I do think there's a Rorschach test with this Crypto thing, though. And it happened last night in our house when I showed this trailer to my wife. And I had told her, like, I stood in my kitchen, I watched it. I started crying because that's who I am. And she's like, okay, let's watch it. And I didn't tell her anything, and she didn't know anything about it. And she's like looking, she's like, is that a dog? And then it runs up, she's like, is the dog wearing a cape? And I was like, yeah, it's Crypto, the super dog. And she goes, oh.
That's great.
It's like, for muggles, that can be tough, And this keep in mind,
I think that,
this is a woman that puts sweaters on her pugs. All right, so
sure, yeah.
Even she was like, "Oh, okay."
But that's part of the, I think that's part of the. I don't know the word I'm looking for. Not the.
Appeal.
That's part of the secret sauce of the James Gunn DCU.
Well, sure.
Like, this is a world where the fantastical already occurs. This is not the real world and then a man becomes Batman. Right? This is a world where, like, the first thing that we saw from this new DCU was a Frankenstein and a Frankenstein's monster and a rat man and a guy on
weasel,
fire.
Joe.
And
he's a weasel. He's not a rat man.
Yes, you're right. He's a weasel. Well, they call him weasel. I don't think he's. I don't know if they know what he is. But it's like,
and his name is John.
This is a world. John Doe. Yeah, this is a world where crazy shit is commonplace, and so in a Superman movie. It's like, he's got a dog that flies. So what?
Well, I think it's more than
that's the beauty about this entire thing. And I don't know because we only see a teaser trailer. Unlike DCEU, where it felt like I heard some people also say this too. They feel like they were almost like apologizing. Oh, these are superheroes, so we have to make them gritty and edgy. And what would they do in the real world?
Since the first X-Men movie, Damon, they've been like, you guys don't worry. This isn't going to get too nerdy.
Costume.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right. So we're going to put everybody in black S&M outfits, and it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
It's going to look great. The Matrix. Everybody loved the Matrix.
Everybody loved the Matrix.
But this one, but James Gunn is just like, screw it, man. We're going for it. We're going for a comic book world.
We're going for it. Here's Nathan Fillion at a bowl cut.
Yeah, right.
He looks as bad as I imagined he would.
Yeah.
100%. Well, Guy Gardner's hairstyle is not real. Like, it doesn't work.
No, it's a bad haircut. So James Gunn posted something about, how crypto was a hit on social media. And I think, and it's something that he's been doing since Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, he knows how to manipulate people.
Oh yeah.
Make them, but he's like, at this point, he's like Hall of Fame media manipulator, because like I remember watching the first Guardians movie, and I did not care about the Guardians, and I don't care about most of the Marvel movies, but I'm watching it, and they're flying into like whatever that place, the place where the collector is, that like planet, nowhere.
They're
flying in, and they're playing like they're playing the David Bowie song, and it's like drifting in, and it's all CGI, and it's coming in, and I was like, oh, I'm enjoying myself. I was like, wait, I really like this song.
Yeah.
And then when you think about it,
he knows what he's doing.
It's just it's colors and lights, and he tricked me. Like, I realized in the moment, I was like, oh, he tricked me. Like that it is like weaponized nostalgia of like, you love all these songs from the 70s, right?
100%.
Your parents love these songs, right? Like, all these songs. So obviously, like, you feel at home, even though it's a completely unique, and no one knows any of those characters and Rocket and all that. Like, he has
you had a tape of songs recorded off the radio just like he did.
Exactly.
That sort of thing.
So now he does this, and it's like, here's a puppy who actually looks exactly like James Gunn. If you look at him, that's what James Gunn looks like. He's got the
hair color.
He's there to see. James Gunn is there in a cape to save Superman.
Yeah.
And
yes,
it's like, and it's I didn't cry. I don't know. I was totally prepared to watch it. I had work going on, so I couldn't do it. Like, I had a real crisis at work, which was disappointing because I was dealing with a real issue, and I was like, all I want to do is watch a 2-minute movie right now, but that's fine. But by the time I got into it, I was like, I'm relieved that I don't have a pit in my stomach, because I usually do when I watch a DC thing.
Absolutely.
I feel sick to my stomach. And this was like, okay, I can see what they're like. Hot Girl look cool. Metamorpho's there. Mr. Terrific, Guy Gardner and his awful haircut, like
Mr. Terrific and his terrific balls.
Well, and that's the thing. You're pulling Mr. Terrific off. Because we always you looked at this character wearing a jacket that says fair play, and he's got a T on his face. And like, sure, Alex Ross can paint that and it looks kick ass. We go, yeah, man, that rules. But if you just put a person in that outfit and put them on screen,
ridiculous.
It should be the dumbest thing in the world, and people should look at it and be like, stupid. And when he popped up, I was like, that guy looks fucking rad. I was like, yes. And I think that's the secret. Just do it. Just do it. You know why Guy Gardner looks like this? Because that's what Guy Gardner looks like. And Guy Gardner, maybe he's been in space since the 80s, so he thinks his haircut's cool. Who knows?
I hope they say something along those lines.
I hope they do.
I don't know if Gunn is even going to bother to address it, but the reason Guy Gardner's got this dumbass haircut is because he grew up obsessed with his childhood superhero hero, General Glory. And so he patterned his whole look off of General Glory's sidekick.
General Glory.
Just like Elvis patterning his look off of Captain Marvel Jr. because he loved Captain Marvel Jr. so much. And so the reason Guy Gardner's got that dumb haircut is because General Glory's sidekick, I think his name was Ernie, had that dumbass haircut.
He had a sidekick.
And it's just this
timeout. His sidekick's name was Ernie.
General Glory
and Ernie.
I mean, like Bucky, right? Bucky's no great shakes either. General Glory is a character that they kind of added to continuity late, sort of like the Invaders were from World War II, but they weren't actually created in the 40s.
He's like a cap. He's wearing like star-spangled,
he's like a Captain America.
Yeah.
And so General Glory, like Guy Gardner loved General Glory so much that he's like, I'm going to make myself look like his sidekick. And he's stuck with it.
Love it. Yeah. Love it.
Yeah.
General Glory and Ernie.
Ernie.
Yeah. Side note about General Glory, I also remember his first. This is one of the Justice League annuals, and they had the little mini stories in there.
Yeah.
Just for the international annual, actually. So they had the little thing where Blue Beetle had gained some weight.
Right.
So he basically goes into like a whole bet into trying to lose weight, I think with Booster or something. And then he goes to General Glory's gym to do this freaking boot camp or something like that.
Nice.
Yeah,
it's like Jesse Ventura and the Running Man.
Blue Beetle lets himself go, and he's like fat for a few years. It's great, or like chunky, right?
So General Glory becomes like
chunky.
Jesse the Ventura in the Running Man, where he's like, "It's Captain Freedom's workout," and he's like doing aerobics,
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that's just kind of what he was doing. So
That's awesome.
great.
So I have this theory, and I wanted to run this past you guys. I said it on the Discord, but since we're gang hanging, and this will be out in the public for everybody, I'm seeing a lot of people, admittedly, muggles, not people that are fans of the medium or the genre, but not necessarily like super comic fans.
Sure.
And so I'm seeing a lot of people going, "Oh man, there's just a lot going on in this movie. There are so many characters. I thought this movie was called Superman, blah, blah, blah." And like, I'm here to tell you, I would bet money that all of the Justice League characters, the giant kaiju monster, I think all of the things that people are looking at in this 2-minute teaser and going, "Oh, too much," they're in one scene.
Oh yeah. I'll bet
it's one scene.
I'll bet all of this is probably the first 5 minutes of the film or something.
Right. And that's
and
what Gunn has said is
out.
like, "Look, you guys, you got to trust me. This is a world. This is like Spider-Man. I need to run over to the Baxter building and talk to Reed Richards about something for 5 minutes. Like, it's just, that's the world he lives in." So he's fighting a giant monster, which, fingers crossed, is Jimmy Olsen in one of his strange transformations.
Oh, that would be great.
And then the Justice League, it's Maxwell Lord's like sponsored whatever.
Okay, timeout for Jim's sake.
I will go back. Let me go back. I'll explain
the Jimmy Olsen thing. He's just like,
I think
what?
I think that the Maxwell Lord's Justice League shows up to help fight the dragon. Something goes wrong. The public's all mad at Superman, and that's that. And that's one scene.
Yeah.
So Jimmy Olsen, Superman's pal, Jimmy Olsen. He got his own book in the 60s and his own comic, and it became a hallmark of the character that Jimmy would get transformed into something. A giant turtle man.
There you go.
A guy with elastic
Jimmy
powers,
right there.
Which, by the way,
nice job, Frank.
Elastic Lad is in this week's World's Finest. Jimmy takes the serum and helps Batgirl solve a case.
Hey,
it's great.
All right.
Good one.
So like he gets stretchy powers. Jimmy is always turning into something really goofy.
Yep, Jimmy Olsen, the DNA alien.
Or getting tortured by Superman.
Yeah.
If you go to superdickery.com and read all of those
to be
examples.
fair, Jimmy Olsen was a huge dick to Superman too. Like it went back and forth. Like they
for two guys that were best friends.
Yeah. Superman made him marry female
Jimmy's
King Kong, remember?
Jimmy's book became like it's a comic book about Jimmy Olsen. And so it became all about Jimmy Olsen's weird adventures.
Weird with a capital W.
With a capital W,
it was fucking weird.
Like,
man.
what the hell is he? The Jolly Green Giant in that one cover you posted?
He's the DN alien. No, he's the DN alien.
The DN. Oh, that's Project Cadmus stuff. The DN aliens.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, there's another one where
he was the inspiration.
Oh man, you gotta just go in for a Google search. It's hilarious. Hey,
yeah.
Share something. I
Batman's ass.
Frank's got something.
Yeah. So my friend Scott is a huge comic book fan, right? He actually works. He's such a huge comics fan. He works at Terrificon and got to know a lot of the old creators and stuff. Anyway, he shared this on his Facebook, right? He says, some quick thoughts about the trailer to the new Superman. Now, this is what your kind of addresses what Joe was saying. What's up with the Tony Khan, Patrick Mahomes haircut on Clark Kent?
Patrick Mahomes, yeah.
The
millennial hair flop.
Yeah.
Or the Gen Z hair flop, yeah. The broccoli hair, right.
Mr. Terrific, Green Lantern Guy Gardner for a Superman reboot. Now, Crypto could be cool with non-comic fans to take him seriously, but non-comic fans will not take him seriously. And then the John Williams score, he gives it like, three exclamation points. But even a really dyed-in-the-wool hardcore comic fan is kind of questioning this. And I love the idea that we're going to see the Justice League, maybe Justice League International. I love this idea because it establishes that we live in a world with superheroes and we're not just going it alone again.
I think that's the whole of the idea.
Yeah.
It show that. And that's my dad said something similar. He's like, what is all this crap? And he's like, why do I want to watch another Superman movie? Because every time one came out, he knew I was excited. And I was like, I'm going to watch Superman. And he would watch it and be like, that sucked. And I'd be like, yeah, it did suck. But one of the things they haven't done, which like I've said to my dad, he's like, well, what is different about this one? I'm like, this one, he's not alone. He's not alone. He's on a planet full of DC heroes and villains, and they have never. And don't tell me, well, Scott Snyder did it with it. Nope, fuck off. They cut all that out, and it was put in a way too long version of Justice League. No.
Oh, well, yeah, and also, Scott Snyder's world building involved Wonder Woman learning about the existence of superhumans by watching MP4 files from an email.
And go, they never did it, So this, yes,
not even the Reeves movies did it.
No, and I think you're right, Frank. I think this, and I agree with what Joe's saying too. All you have to do is the same thing that Gunn did with Guardians of the Galaxy. When we went into outer space in the Marvel Universe, we hadn't seen shit, really, aside from a couple little blinks of what's in outer space. And when we got there, holy shit, was it nuts.
The living, breathing, it was the living, breathing
all
world.
All manner of stuff going on, right? The Novas are there. You've got it. Yeah, like every alien race you've ever seen in a Marvel comic book is there. So I don't think it's a fair criticism now to be like, well, the Marvel movies are the Marvel movies were bonkers too. And this is DC saying, we want a bigger world. We don't want to be an insular thing. I think it's the perfect way to do it.
Man.
Yeah.
But what about, who is excited? Who is so super excited for this guy? Hold on. This guy.
Oh boy.
Metamorpho, baby.
Who's excited for this?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I saw that. I was like,
for Metamorpho.
I am like, when I first saw Metamorpho as a child, I was like, what is going on with this guy? Why is he made out of wood, rock, steel, and whatever else he's made out of? How come he can do all this cool stuff? I thought he was the coolest character, and I couldn't find enough about him when I was a kid to kind of like fuel that interest. And I was just like so obsessed with seeing him. And now that I'm seeing him and putting him in the movie, I didn't recognize him at first because I wasn't.
I didn't either until you guys
because
said
it was such a fast glimpse.
Until you guys said it, I didn't even put it together, honestly.
Somebody took this image, it was dark, and they lightened it up, and you could see he's got the stone on one side.
Purple and orange.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm going, yes, it's Metamorpho. Holy
Which
moly.
apparently when they created Metamorpho in the DC office, they were like, nope, all the other good colors are used. And like, well, what's left? You can use purple and orange. And they were like, what?
Yeah.
Shit.
One thing interesting too, if you look at the trailer, speaking of Metamorpho, STAG Industries is also apparently involved in this because that building where after they throw the can at Superman's head, he walks in and he looks like he's really pissed off. It's in STAG, Industrial, whatever the building. So I don't know. Could we be seeing a Metamorpho origin, or well, he's obviously involved in some capacity to that. I just don't know what. The idea
that someone threw a can at Superman's head.
I know that was so.
Breaks my heart.
No, but think about Frank.
Superman.
Think about the time we live in, right? Like, so people throw cans at Taylor Swift's head, and she's the sweetest girl in the world.
I was watching somebody talk about the Superman trailer, and he was gushing about it. He loved it, right? But he's like, this moment where the can gets thrown, he says, so some of you are like, why did Superman flinch if he's invulnerable? He goes, it's not gonna hurt. He goes, the can didn't hurt here, and he points at his head. He goes, it hurt here, and he points at his heart.
Yeah,
I'm like, Superman felt that emotionally,
sure,
and it hurt him. And that's the Superman I want.
Right,
it's the little things that I'm seeing in this trailer that I am like just as Joe, I get your excitement so much because I'm feeling it as well, and I'm just like, I am overwhelmed with emotion for this movie, and I trust James Gunn, who sometimes I think is Adam Savage, who sometimes I think is James Gunn.
He does look like Adam Savage a bit.
Put them in a room together.
James Gunn does look like Adam Savage. Yeah, they could be related. Yeah,
I think if you're watching Creature Commandos, and I don't know if you are, Frank, but you should be.
I am.
Okay, they are already fleshing out this DC world. Like we've seen the Justice League, we've seen Gorilla Grodd, we've seen like.
Oh yeah, man.
In this episode, spoiler alert, Kongorilla shows up.
Yeah. Oh, is it Kongorilla,
Yes,
not Gorilla
indeed.
Grodd? It's Kongorilla.
No. It's Kongorilla in the prison.
Oh.
It's Gorilla Grodd in the Vision.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
A lot of gorillas running around.
Not trying
There's
to
so multiple talking gorillas.
I don't want to sound racist, but all these talking gorillas look the same to me, you know?
Yeah, now who's racist?
I've slept with too many talking gorillas to be racist.
Not all gorillas.
This is going to take DC, I think, to what Marvel's level was with that first Avengers movie.
I hope so.
I
hope so.
I want it to, Frank. I want it to, and I'm worried. Part of me, like 99% of my heart is just like, this is going to be my entire personality for the next however long it lasts.
Yeah.
And because I am, as much as I love Marvel and enjoy the Marvel movies and respect what they've built and have loved what they've done, I am a born DC fan. And to see, I'm not really exaggerating when I say that the idea of getting any sort of live action project where I can see a proper Green Lantern,
right?
A Superman that inspires hope and decency and kindness, and a girl with feather wings, not weird ass metal bullshit. Black Adam,
full on feather wings.
Yeah. And or a guy that can turn into oxygen or nitrogen or whatever. Like the idea that I can see any of that stuff that I loved as a kid.
Yeah.
I won't be able to take it if it's bad. Like that'll be the end of me.
Oh, I know. Listen,
but then there's 1% of me that's like, I hope they're not trying too hard.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, here's the only thing I think can ruin it. Is corporate overreach.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
The only thing I think can ruin this is corporate overreach. Superman, to me, and I just want to say this, has been a very dear character for me for my whole entire life. My dad used to sit and read Superman comic books to me before I could read. So it is ingrained in my personality. I was a DC guy until the first Hulk comic book got put in my hands, and that was probably like 9 or 10 years old. And then I was like, Superman, the Hulk, Superman, the Hulk, Superman, the Hulk. I was like a fan of both. So, this is to me, this is like the culmination of my entire life's fandom, and I'm happy with all of it. I'm happy with anything we get because you're bringing these characters to life. I was even okay with Man of Steel up until that moment at the end.
The last thing.
Right. Really, I thought it was good. I had my criticisms. I thought it was okay. But that moment at the end really, I was like, no.
So just to be devil's avocado here, there is a third thing that could ruin it. And that is the malaise that the public has for superhero movies right now. Because we know there's effort here and they're doing things right. And this looks so great. And I'm so excited. The vast public goes, boy, I heard that Craven movie was a piece of shit. And now Madam Web was a hilarious piece of shit. And those last Marvel movies didn't do well. It's like nobody cares about superhero movies. Yeah. Fart noise.
Something though? I want to counter that just slightly. And not saying that it will or it won't. But here's the deal.
It worries me.
Superman has the most cultural relevance compared to any of those other movies we just spoke about.
Sure.
So in many ways, if this does well, it's going to be the bellwether maybe of a second wind of maybe interest in superhero. I'm just telling you, where Superman goes is where the superhero genre is going to go.
It's got a massive lift. It's going to have to do, because right now Hollywood has, you know how Hollywood learns lessons. They just go, we didn't make any money. Okay, nobody liked it anymore. Okay, scrap it, throw it all away. Okay, what are we doing now? Okay, video game movies. All right, it's only video game movies. Here we go. You know, like they move at that speed. It's like these movies are made by cocaine, right? We don't have time to learn anything. So that
7 of those.
That's the thing that worries me. It comes out, it gets great reviews, and it makes pretty good money. And WB goes, we were hoping I think it's going to make
a very good amount of money.
I'm
almost certain about that.
I hope it does.
Oh, well, yeah, of course it will.
I hope it does.
Yeah.
And like, I'm just speaking, again, devil's avocado here, right? You know, like that's the shit that scares me, is the business gets into my comic books and it doesn't matter how great it is. Doesn't matter.
Yeah,
it's failure.
The only thing I will agree with you on that is also, I mean, it's WB. Mm-hmm. This is the same company that has no problem scrapping entire movies if it gives them a tax.
This is the company that told Elmo he doesn't have a place to live the week before Christmas. Yeah. Okay, think about that. Right?
So that's the only thing I will say. We'll have to see.
Yeah, it's I mean, so it's not a perfect scenario. It's not a perfect setup. You know, things are looking rosy until all of a sudden they won't.
Yeah.
And so, it's hard to measure my excitement, but there's enough evidence about David Zaslav being a literal villain that makes me cautious. You know, I'm guarded. So,
you know, one thing I was thinking that's ridiculous. He's like, I don't like how they portrayed Lex Luthor as an evil Billy through this movie.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. I haven't thought of that either. Well, why is a billionaire got to be a bad guy? They're just like you and me. I mean, come on. Yeah. Like, shut up. The good news is, so good news, Creature Commandos, which I thought would be the most inaccessible thing that they are going to do. Just because it is what it is. It looks, animated. Adults don't watch animated features. See the failure of the Lord of the Rings anime, which is supposed to be incredible, by the way. Like, and that's like, you want to talk about somebody that's dealing with tough times right now. Lord of the Rings. It's like, I get it, the hardcore nerds like the Amazon show. The rest of the public is like, I don't know what this is or what the hell's going on. And then you've got hardcore, like, Lord of the Rings fans are like, all of this is bullshit, and Peter Jackson ruined it, you know? And so, that's a whole different discussion. But Creature Commandos doing very well. It was like the third most watched show on Max for its first full week. Right behind Penguin.
It's number one, yeah.
Yeah, and The Sex Lives of College Girls, which when you have a TV show called The Sex Lives of College Girls, that's hard to compete with, right? I get it.
Yeah, true. Yeah. I just love the world building that they're doing, Creature Commandos, right now, and it's in subtle ways. It's not like, we got to feature this character, but
right.
they're shouting out so much about the universe by showing very little.
And that's exactly what I was talking about the Superman trailer. I think Gunn has this figured out and knows that you can do this. You can just show this woman standing with a gorilla with a magic hat on and an army of gorilla soldiers, and a lot of people are going to be like, oh, shit, that's Gorilla Grodd, and apparently Gorilla City's a thing in DC. You know, like, oh, man, you know, done. It's that.
Metal Man.
Like, the Metal Man. Animal, vegetable, mineral man. Showed up in the background of a scene, and Clayface is going to be on it.
Yes.
And it's just like,
But on top of that, you're dropping all the shit in there, and there's a lot happening. You still have this very sweet, character-driven story. Like, the episode with G.I. Robots, Origin, oh my God, that was great.
This week's episode with Weasel, this week's spotlight on Weasel was just like a punch in the gut.
Yes,
it was. That revelation about what actually happened to the kids. Was just like, oh my God,
it's wonderful. It's like right out of
his best.
It's like right out of Boris Karloff's Werewolf, right? Where he's just like, and all the people are chasing him away. It's like,
and like, I swear to God, every single one of those cops needs to be prosecuted for opening fire on children.
Yeah, and they just watched that little girl die, and not one of them ran in to try to help her.
Yeah.
Just like, oh my god.
Well, I mean, that's kind of plucked right from the headlines. If you think about shit that happened in Texas not too long ago.
That's not surprising, but
you know,
cops are who they are.
But
so.
yeah, again, it's like you're telling these stories with these ridiculous characters: Rocket Raccoon, Weasel, Groot. You know, so yeah, I think Crypto can be huge because he's already proven he can do this shit. And when we're done here, everybody was like, a dog and a cape. They're all going to have little stuffed dogs and capes. They're all going to be
You know how many Crypto dolls they're going to sell?
Yeah, dancing dog.
They're going to sell so many Crypto dolls.
Crypto is going to take a shit on Baby Yoda's head, you guys, and we are going to laugh about it.
Did you guys?
I wonder.
Sorry,
I was going to say, I wonder if humane societies are going to see the same thing they had, the same issue they had with Game of Thrones when everyone adopted huskies.
Oh yeah, right.
The white wolves. I wonder if a bunch of people are going to adopt little white sheepdogs,
little terriers.
Well, you know, ironically, in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, didn't Peter actually give James Gunn like some credit? Like it was actually about the whole situation with the collector, not a collector, the
depicting like
they liked them.
The cruel treatment of the animals, yeah, right.
Yeah.
So. And like oh man. Yeah, I mean, boy, you guys, I just love DC so much. I'm very excited.
Did you guys
speaking on that topic though, like
no, sorry, hold on, Frank.
Go ahead, Frank. Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off.
Sorry,
Frank.
I was just gonna ask, did you guys read James Gunn's comments on the beginning of the trailer about why Superman is bleeding and how he equates Superman to America? And he's like, right now, America, this is America, and it's an interesting quote. See if I could find it, but it's,
I don't know. This sounds like a snowflake whining about losing a girl losing a job.
He said, and it was interesting about him saying like that. This is America right now. We're broken. We're bleeding. But we are we can come together, and that's why he's kind of equating this movie to like trying to bring America together again, and I know he's not a Trump supporter, so
I mean, I hope he just saves superhero films. Personally, I don't need him to save America, but I'll take saving superhero films. That's enough for me.
I wish America would just whistle for its cute dog friend already and get us the fuck out of here.
Well, look, we all know this is a piece of like entertainment and whatever ultimately, but one interesting parallel, that James Gunn talked about. Remember the Superman 1978 movie? Mm-hmm. That was considered super inspirational for its time because that was right after the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it was interesting why it was just like such a cultural like kind of touchstone. It inspired a lot of people, and yes, equality. Yeah,
because it was after Watergate, after Vietnam, like America, like the gas crisis was, still fresh. Like people were looking for something positive.
Yeah,
and Richard Donner and Christopher Reeve gave it to him. Yep. And there's something to be said for like whether or not James Gunn is making some sort of political statement. I don't want to speculate. He might come out and say it. Who knows? It doesn't matter. But I think it just happens that we as a society are like, man, we had a really rough 5 years, guys. Like shit's been bleak since 2016, and it doesn't look like it's going to get any better anytime soon. And we need something nice,
Well,
we need a reason to be hopeful about stuff.
I'd argue that was a message of I don't recall which side it was, but one of the sides in the last election, and I don't think it turned out real well for him. So I think we need to be terrified of shit to get motivated.
Well,
sure, yes, I agree, but
yeah,
that's why I mentioned that piece. That piece I was going to write is because I legitimately equate November 5th with the Hellfire Gala. So
yeah, I can see that.
I mean,
actually.
Yeah,
sure. I suppose. All right. I don't want to get too political and heady here, though. Let's go back to the Creature Commandos. That was fun.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, what I was going to say, just one part. What did you guys think about the visions that Cersei showed Waller. Also, a lot of DC, well, that was the whole point, right? It's kind of like, oh man, we're going to see these characters in there, even though they're crucified.
Again,
that's a whole other.
Like, you got to do a thing, and it's James Gunn, like, just like Brian said, weaponizing like all this stuff that comic nerds see. You get to do all this stuff in really quick flashes, show us things that get us excited, and it's great storytelling because Cersei, she's the good guy. Like, oh shit, she's the good guy.
Apparently, but more than likely, it looks like she is.
Yeah, like that, and that's such a James Gunn thing to do. It's perfect, you know. Like, she's out there fucking everything up, and they're like, oh, we got to stop him. I'm like, oh no, Amanda Waller is almost always the bad guy. You guys. I mean, come on. And we're just rooting for these characters because they're morons, basically, and this is out of their hands, you know. But
I think it's just like the God, again, I can't think of the word, but just like the mechanics of the visions, like as a tool to tease us with things like this week's episode, you could see Supergirl clear as day.
Yeah.
Well, not clear as day. She was deep in the background, but you could tell from the outfit it was Supergirl. I think one of them, I would bet money, was supposed to be Starfire.
100% of Starfire.
But most of them, other than the most recognizable characters, a lot of the dead heroes on, in that scene were like vague. They weren't
like Batman, for example.
Yeah, like you could see Batman, Wonder Woman, Supergirl, Superman, but then like, there's a guy in a costume. I can't place the costume, and I've been reading DC Comics literally my entire life. So I think they're just like making some, they're implying, right, this fleshed out world. And I think it's a cool thing that he was able to do. Just like, he was able to put characters we all know damn well are never going to actually be a part of the DCU, like Animal, Vegetable, Miracle, Mineral Man, or Kong Gorilla.
Sure.
Or like we're not going to get stories about Kong Gorilla, probably.
Well, look, you don't know that though, and that's what I'm saying. This animated stuff, this is where we can
show up.
Do that.
Yeah.
This is exactly where we can do that, and I bring it on. Give me all the B-list, C-list, like make the stories great. If this is a hit, great. We've taken the Creature Commandos, who are characters, again, Gunn, genius of this, taking characters that literally nobody gives a shit about that does know them, and nobody else knows, right? Nobody knows who the Creature Commandos were. We even went and read like old Creature Commando stuff, Joe, and we're like, oh, this is fun. But like, this is what they were? Really? You can do that with this animated shit. You could give us, an Airwave story that's fantastic with all these weird characters. Right. Let's do it. It's the same thing they're doing in All In right now. If you look at a book like The Question or a book like Challengers of the Unknown, they're taking characters that are not as well established or well known, surrounding them with characters that you do know, Batman, Superman, the Justice League, stuff like that. And that is how you lift them. That is how you raise attention for these characters with a great story.
It's like putting your dog's pill in peanut butter.
I'm not so much that, because the Question's not a disgusting character that tastes bad.
No, but I mean, it's.
I would say it's more like
it is the same thing, or it's a spoonful of sugar that helps.
It's tag team wrestling, is what it is.
The Question go down.
It's tag team wrestling, where you take a very famous wrestler and he tag teams with someone who's coming up or new or whatever to shine the spotlight.
Some guy who's just his regular name, like Steve Jones.
Well, no, just like a talented person that's coming up.
I make no mistake. Question, I became a huge fan. I didn't care about him before I watched Justice League Unlimited.
Yeah,
and he was just this kooky conspiracy theorist.
Speaking of a blank slate character that those people could do whatever they wanted with, the Question was never like a conspiracy weirdo.
Well,
before that cartoon.
Well,
not really. Not like he was in the cartoon.
Not like that.
In the cartoon, he was like Mulder, except if Mulder had jars of his own piss
not
in the
like
back
that.
of his
But
car,
he was very much, like Rorschach type character, where like he was on the fringes and he dealt with weird stuff.
He was on the fringes for sure.
And he asked questions that nobody else was asking.
He was in like an investigative reporter kind of thing. But the cartoon version is an extreme.
Well, it's like, aliens built the pyramids kind of kind of guy, right? And
what's he talking about the things on the end of shoelaces?
Yes, I remember that line.
yeah.
And it's like, man, is a way of like, oh, this guy is nuts. Like he is straight up out of his mind.
I mean, and so like they kind of leaned a little bit more into the Rorschach version of that character, right?
Just lean into it. And it's great. It's, you know what? It's more interesting.
It is more interesting.
It really is, because we can't just have like, well, he's a lawyer by day, but he fights crime by night, and he's a reporter by day and he fights crime by night. Like, no, come on, give me something. Like, they gotta have something. And I love the fact
distinguishing characteristics.
He says all this wacky shit, but here's the thing: if 20% of it, if 10% of it is true, oh my God. You know, that's terrifying. Right?
Well, that was his argument to Huntress.
Yeah, that's part of that's what Marvel's bread and butter was made from, was the idea that like it's a superhero that fights crime, but he's also a teenager with money problems and a sick aunt.
Sure.
Or he's a scientist that fights crime or, fights monsters. But he's also sometimes a misunderstood, persecuted rage monster that everybody hates.
Right.
Like, and they gave their characters personality to their credit, and that's not really something DC had much of.
No. Until
after
later.
The success of the Marvel universe,
until
in comics.
Much later. And if you even think about like the personalities that got the biggest in the DCU that they leaned into, Superman, he's really nice, and Batman, he's really rich and mean. It wasn't like Peter Parker, like he's stubbed his toe.
They're
and
complex.
He can't afford a hot dog. That guy, his life kind of sucks sometimes.
Yeah, he had to give an IOU to the hot dog guy. Yeah.
So
I think I read that in a comic just like last year.
Probably. Every time he goes from billionaire back to Peter Parker, they're like, oh, well, that old Parker.
That happened one time.
I know, but it'll happen again.
That old Parker look.
It'll happen again. It will.
I'm very, very excited about the new DC universe. I think
they're in a great place.
They're in a great place. I'm really, really rooting for it. I think Creature Commandos has been excellent. I'm very excited to see where it goes. I really want to see what they do with Clayface, because now they've confirmed that a Clayface movie is in development from Mike Flanagan, creator of the Haunting of Hill House.
I mean, yes, that there's reporting on this, and great if true. But look, I don't trust any of this shit anymore. After the Blade,
no, it's confirmed by Gunn.
Yes. So is Blade, Joe. So is Blade. Confirmed by Kevin Feige. How many times? Just confirmed it again not too long ago. Remember?
Okay. I mean, I understand what you're saying, Matt, but like, this isn't just a rumor. The guy that's in charge of the new DCU said, yes, this movie is
Kevin Feige's in charge of the MCU. He is in charge.
Matt, I'm not sure what point you're arguing here. Like, I know that sometimes things don't come out.
When they start filming
don't happen.
I'll believe it's coming, is what I'm saying.
My point was, I'm very curious to see what we get from the Clayface that appears in Creature Commandos, because I believe this Clayface movie is set in the DCU, despite the fact that Matt Reeves is attached as a producer. Like, it's not going to be, I don't think it's set in the Batman universe.
Wait a minute. Are you saying this is not in the Batman crime universe?
It's not in the Batman crime noir universe.
God, I hate that.
Right.
Oh, I hate it.
So
it'll be interesting.
Alan Tudyk is voicing Clayface again in the Creature Commandos. We're clearly going to get a different Clayface than the one he portrays in Harley Quinn, who is this very silly actor.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to see Clayface, and Mike Flanagan is probably my favorite horror filmmaker right now. And if he makes like a real like body horror like Clayface movie, that's gonna be great.
Yeah, I don't know, because
if it happens,
they could go Human Target with it too, where he's a master of disguise and make it a little more realistic.
But the Clayface we're getting in Creature Commandos is Mud Monster.
I mean, it appears that way. Yeah, I guess we'll see. I don't know.
So
I just don't know.
Like he showed up in the teasers. So.
Brian, what do you got?
I think they need to put. Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to have to. I mean, obviously they're just developing this, but if he's going to be the horror focal point, like they're going to have to pack in some other characters. Like it can't just be.
Yeah, he'll have to be you're right. He'll be right. Exactly.
Yeah, because no one's going to want to watch Mud Monster movie unless the Mud Monster is out of control and murdering people, and then we've got Godzilla, basically.
You know, like it's like you got like I don't know, who's the hero that's going to fight off? You know,
right?
Because it's not going to be Batman, right? Like maybe it's going to be Huntress or
Batwoman,
or a totally someone outside of that. Like it's an opportunity to take someone a little more creepy and maybe put them into the mix a little bit. And
the
that
creeper.
would be interesting. And
Ragman,
Ragman. I mean, we have our mediocre. I mean, it is funny because there's the mediocre WB Ragman and
the
then
Arrowverse Ragman,
the CW Arrowverse, Mr. Terrific, who was fine, but his coming and going cornrows was always very funny.
I hated that version of Mr. Terrific.
I get the aesthetic look, but I also from my very vague experience with that culture, it takes a while to do that.
It doesn't happen overnight.
Right. It's not. You can't just like pop into the bathroom and come out in 5 minutes and have cornrows.
It's as far as I know, it takes a couple hours.
I'm gonna fix my hair.
Maybe Mr. Terrific can.
Maybe he does. Maybe the T-spheres do it, Brian. You don't know. I mean, come on.
I mean, you know what? They should have shown us that scene because that would have been a pretty cool thing to do. But
all right, guys.
The Flanagan stuff is very. There's a lot of interesting potential there. Like I'm hoping they can find some people that will do some good stuff that's not like sort of like the Werewolf by Night, this isn't what you expect, but it's still a good quality thing.
And I think that's kind of where Marvel maybe lost their way a little bit. Instead of telling different stories, this is a horror story, this is a Western, this is a space story, whatever, it became, this is another link in the Marvel chain. And people started to go, all right, I mean, well, what are we doing? We're fighting Kang this time. Like, oh, well, we already kind of saw they all team up and like fight this guy. Yeah, but they're really small this time. Like, oh, okay. Great.
Yeah,
it's a superhero movie.
Opinion, that's exactly.
It's another superhero movie.
Part 28 of 30 is a problem.
Right.
That's the exhaustion stuff. You know, like you gotta. I didn't see Infinite War, or do I have to see Endgame? Like,
right.
Oh, of course, just let me watch a movie that's not part 7 of 7. You know, like,
and if you can do this is your Swamp Thing horror movie. This is your Clayface
Swamp Thing. That's
noir detective.
Yeah,
like things like that, where you can tell a stylized movie around a character, so they stand alone and it feels different, but it still does fit. I think that's how you win. As opposed to you've got to see everything and it all has to work together. Like Shang-Chi, I had fun with. It did not feel like a martial arts movie to me. And I'm a huge martial arts nerd. Was there martial arts in it? Sure. But it was another Marvel superhero movie. And, and not a very compelling villain and stuff. Like, I wish they would have gone full martial arts.
Yeah, a grindhouse.
Yes.
Kung fu.
Get in there. Go get
the guy with the sword hands cutting the
right.
Go get
bus in half. Keanu Reeves' team of fight, producers. Bring them in. Go find hotshot young kid from Hong Kong that's coming up right now, making incredible martial arts films, and do it. Here is your Marvel martial arts film. Moon Knight. Here is your Marvel horror series or whatever. And like Moon Knight, it was fun. I liked it, but it really veered away from what I guess what I hoped Moon Knight would be, which is the guy that fights and stuff that goes bump in the night. And now we've got like cute hippo gods talking with him and stuff, and like he's kind of a spy, and he's sort of in love, and Moon Knight's ruined. Like, that's what I like about Moon Knight. He's ruined.
Okay, yeah, but that Moon Knight we got was pretty ruined.
Yeah, I mean messed up.
Yeah,
I understand what you're saying about the other stuff, but this Moon Knight is pretty ruined.
He's messed up, sure. I just wish I wanted it to be the darker horror thing that they were going to lean into, and it just kind of wasn't. And I think Marvel needs to figure that out.
I wanted him to fight a guy whose hand turns into a gun, you know?
I mean,
Bushwhacker.
You could...
Moon Knight, Bushwhacker might not be I'm thinking of... I'm confusing Bushwhacker with the guy whose face Moon Knight cut off.
That was Bushwhacker.
Bushmaster?
No, that was Bushwhacker. He cut off Bushwhacker's face.
No, Bushwhacker is the white dude whose hand turns into a gun. Bushmaster, I think, is the Moon Knight villain.
Bushmaster's a snake man, isn't he?
No, Bushman.
Bushman. That's all it was. Yeah, it was just Bushman.
Marvel has too many characters with Bush in the name.
The Bush. Yeah, there's too much Bush going on here.
And too many characters with Bush.
Ayo.
Yeah.
Hey now.
Waka Waka. Yeah, Bushman. Yeah, Bushman is his name. The guy like in the David Finch Moon Knight where that book opens with, he's cut the dude's face off.
Yeah.
You know, it's like,
and then DC was like, "Oh yeah, well somebody cut the Joker's face off too." And we're like,
"Hold our right, yeah, exactly.
What's with all the faces being cut off?"
That his hand turns into a gun. I was like, random.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, random.
I mean, sort of.
Yeah.
I wish.
All right, guys, I gotta get out of here.
Except that Bushwhackers. I think we determined Bushwhackers. Bushwhackers gun hand shoots actual like bullet type projectiles. Random's gun arm shoots bullets made of Random's poop.
Gotta be. Yeah.
That's what Matt and I have.
Right. Yeah, he had the poop. Yeah, he was a poop bullet.
He shoots the poop bullets.
He eats lunch and then poop comes flying out of his hands in the form of bullets. Yes.
He's got a carbo load. He's got to like carbo load hell before he goes out into the field.
Sits down and eats like 5 kolaches, and then he like, let's do this.
Okay. All right, Beast. I'll be ready to go in about a half hour.
Let me finish my espresso. Okay. I'm almost done. Like that always kicks me into full gear. So, all right, I got to get out of here. There's college football playoffs I got to watch. We're probably not going to do this next week's holidays and stuff. So happy holidays, everybody. And be safe, be good, take care of each other. We hope you had a good time and, enjoy yours. Please. Happy holidays.
Yeah.
Bro.
Hey guys, thanks so much. Next week, we're not skipping any shows though. No. So next week will be Nightfall Part 2. We're recording that tomorrow with the Night Nerds.
You know what was great? Nightfall Part 2 or Part 1. You know what's not as great? Nightfall Part 2. It's not as great.
I mean, Nightfall Part 2 is still pretty good. Like where it gets real bad is Night's End.
Yeah, okay, fair. But it's like it's definitely diminishing returns on the other side. So.
Sure. And then the week after that, Golden Beppos.
Yeah.
Get excited.
So we want to start talking best of. Well, I think in the THN forums, we should start a best of, thread in there and start throwing stuff in there. I want to hear
Speaking of characters I want to see in James Gunn's DCU, Beppo, the super chimp.
I did like the meme where Superman's laying in the ice and he makes the cat noise, goes pss, 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 and you see like
and then the cat
you see a cat in the distance, and then it comes back to a skull.
He's getting streaky.
Pretty good. So, All right, guys. Hey, happy holidays. We love ya, and we'll talk to you on the Discord.
Later.
See you guys.